to all of you. Welcome to this last session for the bank branch audit series. Let's begin the session with ICI motto.
येष सुप्तेषु जाग्रति येष सुप्तेषु जाग्रति कामं 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 कामपुरुषो पुरुषो निर्विमाणः निर्विमाणः तदेव शुक्रं तदेव शुक्रब्रह्मा तद्ब्रह्मा तदेवामृतमुच्यते तस्मिन् लोकः शतः सर्वे तदूनात्यपि कश्चन एतद्वैता 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 एतद्वैता.
Thank you, Shehzad Bhai. I would now request Chairman Ahmedabad Branch, C. Harit Dhariwal, to give opening remarks.
Good evening, everyone. Respected faculty for the session, Nilesh Joshi, who is just joining us, the Secretary of the branch, C. Anjali Choksi, other esteemed faculties and members who have joined us. A very good evening. So, I think today is the last session on the bank branch series, and we are very happy to see good feedback, that we are getting for this series. And we have shared all the material. The only, I think, one on the LFR is missing, which will be sending it to you as soon as we get it from the faculty. And apart from that, the earlier two sessions also that we had on LFAR and IRAC norms, we will send that material also in the group that we have formed for this bank audit purpose. So you will get all the details in one place. So two announcements again. Tomorrow, 27th, we have a very interesting session on the GST, on the e-invoicing, and also on the recent judgment of limitation taken by Advocate Raghuraman sir from Bangalore. So please do join for that session. And on 28th, as I said, and I keep on telling you, we have a very good response for students. Bank branch audit, 4 sessions for students, basically 4 hours on the IRAC norms, on the provisioning, on the basics of bank audit, and also on documentation and planning aspect as far as the articles are concerned. So please encourage your articles to take part in that. 2 to 6 is the timing for that. And Sunday, we are also having a kind of a small mini Holi celebration. So it's a very, very small celebration wherein the students have prepared a play depicting the mythology behind Holi, and there will be very less audience, and mainly everybody would be virtually. So if your articles would want to join, we just have 50 registrations there. So if they want to come and see the play live or even virtually, they are most welcome to do that. And we are also inviting articles and students to give their share experience on Holi, their speeches or something that they want to do. They can take part in these activities. Regarding today's session, I think being the last session, one of the very important sessions that we had today, and a very, very interesting topic and a very important faculty. Actually, sir is just finished his lecture in WIRC, and I think he's expected to join us. I'm just checking with him if he has joined us because I can see him.
Yes, he has joined. Chairman, he has joined. Yeah,
Yes.
he has joined.
So thank you so much, Nilesh ji, for sparing your valuable time. I know you've been running extremely busy, but thank you, sir, for sparing the time for Ahmedabad branch. And I would now request Anjali Ben to take it forward. Ankit to introduce the faculty.
Yeah.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Chairman, sir. I'm glad to introduce our today's faculty, C. Nilesh Joshi, sir. He is a fellow member of Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. He is also done DISA and CISA. He is into practice stream related to banking sector, mutual fund, and insurance sector. He has handled statutory central audit of banks like IDBI, SBS, and SBI. He has conducted statutory information system and internal audit of all leading insurance companies and mutual funds. He has also conducted forensic audit of mutual funds. He is also a regular speaker at WIRC and ICAI. With this brief introduction, I would like to welcome C. Nilesh Joshi, sir, to take the charge of this session, that is IRAC norms. Thank you. Sir, you are mute.
Sir, you are mute.
Thank you everyone. Thank you Harit bhai. Thank you Ankit bhai and Anjali madam. It is Ahmedabad is very what near to heart city for me, and I always enjoy food at Ahmedabad. And it is not a very good scenario where I could not come to Ahmedabad to deliver a lecture and could not eat in Sasuji. So that is not that is what I would have loved to. But nevertheless, and the topic which you have selected for me is also related to a word which is we are using now more and more in last 1 year, where which we would not have used otherwise. Rather, when we had normal cold, we were not aware that it was also coronavirus. So now we have heard that word every now and then, and again the cases are surging all across India and mainly in Maharashtra. It is now very difficult for all of us to conduct audit going to the branches. And this is again looks like a year where we have to conduct audit online, which is going to be an experience for all of us. So I understand you already had sessions on IRAC norms and a detailed IRAC norm session and a session on advances. I will not go in those nitty-gritties of advances and IRAC norms. I believe that has been already discussed by the respective speaker. I will go into nitty-gritties related to the COVID circulars. So there are this year is going to be the year where we all need to actually remember a lot of dates. So, and these dates are even more important than our anniversaries and birth dates of our wife. Why? Because RBI has issued plethora of circulars related to COVID in last 1 year. Certain circulars are related to other norms like liquidity facility or increasing the liquidity related stance which RBI has changed because of the COVID and giving more funds in the hands of the lenders, which may not be directly affecting our audit. But there are 4 important circulars issued by RBI which are directly affecting our audit. And this is year full of event, because earlier the circulars issued by the RBI, then there was a court case where court has directed government to come out with the guidelines in respect of some kind of a waiver on compounding interest, which government has come out for less than 2 crore. And while delivering the judgment, the Supreme Court had stayed classification of NPA. And then 3 days before, Supreme Court has vacated that stay and also told that you cannot give benefit only to those borrowers which are below 2 crores. You have to also give benefit to the borrowers which are above 2 crores. So waiver of compounding interest will be available for all borrowers now. Coincidentally, what happened that before that the judgment came on 23rd, and on 22nd I was delivering lecture at some other place, and fortunately Nihar bhai joined that lecture for 2 minutes out of his busy schedule, and he has given guidance to the members that how we should deal with this kind of situation where there is a stay on NPA. And he told that during that lecture that we are expecting that something will come out from Supreme Court, and Supreme Court might give some directions. And as his wisdom prevailed, the Supreme Court gave direction immediately after 2 days and vacated the stay. So with this background, there are 4 circulars which we all need to remember during the when we are auditing this year. Before going to those circulars, I will just give you one kind of a precautionary measure which we need to take this year, is that while carrying out audit of advances, in normal scenario, what is happening is that we used to get balance sheet audited financial statements of previous year. Like in case of 2019, when we carried out advances audit, it was of 2018. This year, what will happen that what we are getting as audited financials are not of previous year, because what has happened that many renewals, reviews or sanctioning would have taken place in the period of from April to December. Actually saying April to December is wrong, I will say, because April, May, no one is going to bank and asking for disbursement. The business started picking up in the late year of 2020. So major disbursement sanctions renewals have taken place after September only. And the extension, there was an extension of filing of income tax returns till 15th February. And so most of the audits were completed by 31st January. And because of that, when this, during the period of September to January, whatever renewals, disbursement, enhancements have been done, in those have been done based on the 2019 financials, which we have actually audited, which in the last year also. So what precaution branch auditor should take, that they should see that while carrying out that assessment, credit assessment of those borrowers, whether branches at least obtain the turnover or provisional turnover or turnover till the date of sanctioning or renewal. So like they have started appraisal process in the month of May, then in that scenario, sorry, in the month of October, in that scenario, at least they have taken turnover details till September, because that is going to be very useful and very important for all of us, because there would be totally different turnover, or there would not have been turnover during that period. So what assessment methodology branches have used this year needs to be checked, because most of the assessments are pertaining to are carried out based on 2019 only. So branch should have taken at least that precaution. Also, when we check the projected balance sheets, projected sales, we have observed while carrying out certain interim audits that branches is setting in the proposal appraisal notes that 200% increase in the turnover as compared to the previous year. So for the previous year or provisional turnover given in the current year, so that is 2021. 2021 you cannot compare with any normal year. So if you see, as compared to 1920, there is a huge dip, and in 21-22 there could be huge increase in the projections. So when you are saying this, the 200% will be as compared to 2021, which is incorrect. So if you think of, you observe anything, such kind of things in such a kind of notings in appraisal note, glossy picture has been presented, please report it in your LFAR. And I am sure that these points would have been covered by the auditor, covered by the speakers who have delivered lectures on advances verification. But I wish that I should refresh this and give a cautionary note to you. So I have given this. Now we will move to COVID-related guidelines. The first circular came about for COVID-related guidelines was of 27th March, where the moratorium on the repayment of loan has been given on till 31st May. And that time the lockdown was only announced and second lockdown was not announced. But we went in the second phase of lockdown, the government realized that with the second phase of lockdown, it has hampered business more because there is an extension of lockdown. So government in the last week of May has come out with another circular which has extended the moratorium period till 31st August. So why give a reference to a date? So what dates we need to remember now? 1st March 2020, 31st August 2020. This is the period which we have to remember all across while doing audit, because this is the period is kind of a forgotten period. Whatever actions required in respect of IRAC also needs to be taken during this period should be forgotten. So it has been decided by RBI that in case of term loan, no interest or installment is expected to be received from the borrower, and borrowers have a moratorium for non-payment of interest and installment. And during that period, that account will not be classified as NPA. This is what they have given in respect of term loan. So when you start auditing an account, you may come across an account where there is a default even on 1st March, which has not been classified as NPA as on 31st March 2020 last year because of the moratorium. And the moratorium continued 31st August, so no money has come in that. So there you should not consider this period for NPA purpose. So there is a moratorium up to 31st August. Term loan things are simple. no interest, no installment expected during this period. What happened in case of a working capital loan? In case of a working capital loan, there is a deferment of interest up to 31st August. So interest need not be paid during this period. So what will be the important is that whatever interest has been paid during the 6 months, okay, so that interest can be converted into FITL, and that FITL should be paid till 31st March 2021. So समझो 6 months में interest is there of 50 lakhs rupees. 50 lakhs should be converted into FITL, and that FITL should be paid by 31st March 2021. Now, when you go for auditing on 31st March 2021, you will observe that that FITL which has been converted has not been paid. What you will do in such case? In such case, you have to reverse that, or you have to make provision of the balance portion. So out of 50 lakhs has been converted into FITL, but bank would only recover up to 30 lakhs. So 20 lakhs needs to be provided for or reverse. That will be mentioned where that will be there in the closing circular of the bank. And if that is mentioned in the closing circular of the bank, then you act on that and you provide for that, or branch would have only provided for that. If that is not mentioned in the closing circular of the bank, please take up the matter with your statutory central auditor and zone and get clarification on that. Because what will happen with the balance is not clear from RBI also, or from any other organization also, regulatory authority also. Mainly because we will refer to RBI only. Even if IBA cleared it, it will not be acceptable. It has to come from RBI. So since RBI has not given any clarification about this non-payment of FITL, it's on the as a prudent and abundant caution, it should not be accounted as income. Whatever not recovered should be reversed. Similarly, there is another benefit given to working capital loans, basically cash credit accounts, is that drawing power is extended in respect of margin. So there is a drawing power calculated pre-COVID period stock 25% margin, debtors 20% margin. So RBI has told them this margin you can reduce from 25% to 10%, and the margin which is related to, which is on debtors, which is 20%, you can reduce based on the assessment. So there is no how much it should be reduced, that RBI has not said. They have said that you can reduce it. So some banks would have reduced it to 5%, some banks would have reduced it to 10%. It dependent on case to case and business of their borrower. So whatever margin reduction has been done, and because of that his DP has been increased. So अगर पहले 10 crore DP आ रहा था उसका based on 25% 20% margin, the DP would have increased to 12 crores. So whatever assessment you have to do about overdrawing within limit, all the assessment will be done for 12 crores and not on the basis of 10 crores. Up to what date this concession is permitted? That is permitted to 31st March 2021. So what dates we need to remember in this? 31st August and 31st March. These two dates needs to be remembered as part of the when the branch is giving concession in margin. Second concession is given in respect of reassessment of whole working capital, because we all know that there is a what we can stop. There is the business have been closed for almost 2 months, and though business unlock started, we entered in unlock 1 phase, then unlock 2 phase. The real business started going, or the real action started taking place almost in July and August. So in such scenario, what RBI said that since your stock has not moved during those 2 months, your debtors you could not realize because of lockdown, and even because the debtors also didn't have the business, hence you can reassess the working capital, and based on the reassessment of that working capital, what you have to do, you have to decide the new drawing power. and whatever new drawing power you have finalized based on the reassessment of the working capital, then that drawing power should be entered in the system, and that should be permitted till 31st March 2021. So earlier working capital cycle was only, let's say, 4 months. Because of the COVID, it has stretched to 6 months. So you reassess based on that cycle. So if you want to allow debtors up to receivable up to 180 days for the calculation of DP, you allow that, and based on that, you give them the DP. So DP would have increased by that. So instead of 10 crores, it would have gone more. It would have been become by 13 crores. So whatever calculation you have to do as per the 13 crores. Now, the next question is whether these two conditions of reduction in margin and reassessment of DP are independent, means one of them only can be done or both of them can be done. So the wording used in the circular is or, and, both, and or. So in such scenario, what we should do as an auditor is that we see that whether branch has allowed only one concession or branch has allowed both concession. If branch has allowed both concession, we should see that what is the necessity that a branch has to give both concessions, and that has been substantiated with the adequate documentation and assessment of the branch. Then we should accept it. If it is not, then we should comment in the LFR, because this was the prerogative of the branch, and we cannot comment by making it on NP or something like that. But you should mention in LFR, because LFR talks about appraisal procedure. So when it is talking about appraisal procedure, such kind of a deviations should be mentioned in the LFR. Anyone has query, because there is something in chat box. So we will move next. So after giving so many concessions, RBI has given a cautionary sentence. Whatever I mentioned earlier is an extract of the circular. Whatever I mentioned in that bold line below is verbatim copy what RBI has said. So accounts provided relief under these instructions shall be subject to subsequent supervisory review with regard to their justifiability on account of economic fallout from COVID. What does it mean? This means a lot. What it means that if the concessions above mentioned are given, then in that scenario, as a bank should substantiate it with detailed justification and documentation that account has suffered from economic fallout. So if there is a government employee and you are giving a term loan moratorium to the government employee, then it will not justify because he is getting salary on regular basis. Or there is a pharmacy business, a chemist, and you are giving concession to them, then you have to justify that why are you giving concession to them, because their business was not suffered. A pharmaceutical industry was not hampered to that extent. So when you want to give concession, it is not something like it says that you cannot give concession. The concessions are allowed, but concessions are allowed only after giving proper justification and documentation and substantiating that. So as an auditor, what we have to see? As an auditor, we have to see that these concessions are given in respect of only those accounts which have been suffered from economic fallout from COVID-19. And as an auditor, we are not the assessor, and we cannot confirm that X account has been suffered or Y account has not suffered. So what we should do as an auditor is that we have to see the justifiable argument given by the bank. If the arguments given by the bank are justifiable to state that that account has been suffered from economic fallout, then we should actually allow that account to be restructured. I will not say restructured, but allow the moratorium provided by the RBI. But if you observe that the justification given by the branch for moratorium was not adequate and was not supported by substantiated by the documentation, then in that scenario, we as an auditor should comment on that. And if you find, I personally, if you find that these accounts were not actually affected adversely by the economic fallout of COVID from COVID-19, then, and these concessions are given to just enjoy the concessions given by the RBI, and that account has overdrawn on its main limit, initial limits, pre-COVID-19 limits on regular basis, then you have right to classify that account as NPA. Whatever I'm talking may be sounding very aggressive in terms of as an auditor in terms of taking a stand, but this is what is expected by the RBI. So a chemist shop which is running regularly, having good kind of a turnover, and then also branch is giving him concession for DP, then that is not justifiable. How your stock has not been, stock is a how you there is an increasing or non-moving or slow-moving stock. How your debtors were not realized. You are there are no debtors in case of a retail chemist shop. There will be a cash. In Mumbai, there are large chemists like Nobel or other chemists who have huge big shops. They have actually made more money because their other goods which are not related to medicine so have also sold, like chips and all other Maggies and all other things. So in such scenario, as an auditor, we should see that the justifications given by the branch are substantiated with adequate documentation. And if we found laxity in that, and if we see that this is just to accommodate that whatever branch has done this and taken help of the concession moratorium provided by the RBI, mark that account as NPA if it is overdrawn than the initial limits. Now, there is no what I can say, there is no stoppage or stay by the Supreme Court also, so you can mark that account NPA and provide for it. And if some, and also report all your adverse comments in LFR. New LFR expects a lot from us. So when it expects a lot, you have to deliver up to that mark. So when you observe such thing, please report in LFR and pass an MOC. Then in respect of COVID, there are two guidelines which have come out. One is related to MSME sector, which is below 25 crore, and other is related to MSME sector, which is above 25 crores. So in respect of guidelines, which is below 25 crores, is a circular dated August 6, 2020, which is extension of circular of February 2020, which is actually extension of a previous circular of January 2020. And the above 25 crores and personal loan related guidelines are the guidelines which are pertaining to majorly specifically for COVID. So the guidelines and because of that, there has been different kind of parameters have been applied in respect of our rupees 25 crore guidelines, and there was a different kind of sectoral bifurcation. There are 27 sectors initially, and then 2 sectors added in that in respect of about 25. And there are financial parameters are also given in September 7, 2020 circular. I have not copied here those financial parameters, but as we go through that circular or go to discussion of August 6, 2020 circular, I will open that circular itself and show what kind of parameters are there in that circular, which will come along with your closing circular also. And you have to assess that the restructuring or resolution which has been done based on the financial parameters provided in that circular itself. So first we will go to the MSME related restructuring of advances below 25 crore. this circular starts with a preamble saying that this the February 2020 restructuring guidelines for MSME have been extended. The dates in that have been extended in this circular, and it ends with a line called saying that other terms and conditions of February 2020 circular will remain as it is. So both are very important sentences or statements used by the RBI. And when we will come to the last line of this circular, we will discuss about that. Now we will just now initially we will discuss the important criteria to keep that account as standard in respect of as per this circular. This is something kind of a checklist I have prepared. This is the extract of the circular, first 5 points, which you can copy paste in your as a part of your working paper. एक Excel sheet पे you copy paste it. आगे के column में you write down the names of the borrowers which have been given this MSME restructuring concession or which have been restructured as per MSME guidelines of RBI, these guidelines, and then tick to each of these condition. Once you do that, your working paper will be ready. Your working paper will be pakka from the perspective of any peer review, any quality review, any requirement by the RBI or statutory central auditor if they want to have certain clarification. When we are actually doing any restructuring related auditing, in case of a bank branch or any bank or any specific special assignment on confirmation of restructuring, the conditions provided by the RBI has to be complied verbatim. So what has happened is RBI during initial restructuring which they announced in 26th August of 2008, and then various other restructuring guidelines which they have come out with, like S4A and stress resolution under stress asset and all that, they have gone, there has been some concessions taken by the banks based on interpretation of RBI circulars. But when RBI has conducted asset quality review, they have gone by the verbatim sentences in the circular and not interpretation. So as an auditor, and because of that, many accounts they are classified as NPA. So as an auditor, we should be careful enough that we also follow the verbatim mentioned in the circular, and we don't come with then any interpretation given by the bank or interpretation by the branch. And if you have any issue related to that interpretation by the branch or the bank, you take up the matter with respect to statutory central auditor and zone, and tell them that this is what is mentioned in the RBI. Bank is interpreting it like this. So please clarify what stand as an auditor you should take. And go ahead by that. If you have any objection, even call statutory central auditor and speak with him. And now, because of this COVID-related situation, even I had a discussion with some of my colleagues, statutory central auditors. So they told that, see, we have kept our ears open for any suggestions from any branch auditor. So this is not like that you cannot access statutory central auditor of your zone. Please take up the matter with them where you have disconnect with the branch. So the first condition, aggregate exposure including non-fund based facilities of banks and NBFCs to the borrower does not exceed 25 crore as on March 1, 2020. Now, important is that how you will come to know what is the aggregate exposure of their borrower. So you can get it from CERSAI, ROC search, and what has been submitted by the borrower. Because as part of this restructuring guideline, bank has to obtain detailed outstanding of their borrower from the from him only, and they have to re-verify it with his financial statements and also review of their accounts in respect of if anything is transferred on regular basis to any NBFC or anything has been transferred to any cooperative banks. So in such cases, the bank should have carried out adequate diligence to identify that the borrower's total exposure is not less than 25 crore. As on which date? March 1, 2020. So in earlier circular, important dates were 1st March 2020, 31st August 2020, and 31st March 2020. Here again important date is 1st March 2020. It has become a D-day kind of a thing. 1st March 2020. So borrower does not have any aggregate exposure more than 25 crore as on 1st March 2020. Borrower account was the standard as on 1st March 2020. Borrower account as a standard, that does not mean that borrower account is standard in the books of the bank. So if you find that as on 1st March 2020, the outstanding of the borrower is more than 90 days, then that account should be classified as NPA. There is a possibility that that branch was not under audit and the statement submitted by the branch manager was incorrect. In that case, that account could have been continued to be standard even if it was NPA as on 1st March 2020. So when restructuring is allowed or restructuring should be done in case of that in the borrower, it should be standard in the book, standard not only in the books of that but also by the DPD as on 1st March 2020. So you as an auditor may go back to previous year, just check as on 1st March whether the audit, whether the borrower's DPD or out of order status was not, or whether it was more than 90 days. If that is which you have found out, then that account is not eligible for restructuring. If that account has been restructured and kept as standard, reverse it. And when you reverse it, the classification of that account will be from the date of original delinquency. So it may become doubtful directly. So it may not, it's like a situation where it may not be substandard only, it would have become doubtful directly when you pass MOC. So when you pass MOC, you see that you pass MOC and you have also mentioned the same in LFA. So restructuring of the borrower account is implemented by March 31, 2021. So what do you mean by restructuring of the borrower? Is implemented in all respect. Agreements are executed if additional loans have been sanctioned or there is an increase in the sanction amount because of FITL creation or something like that. Mortgage should have been registered on the additional loans or additional funding or any increase in sanction amount. If it is if there are hypothecation of machinery or hypothecation of stock and book debts, that hypothecation deed for supplementary hypothecation deed has been executed. Then if it is a company, then R2G charge should have been created on the on additional amounts. If CERSAI has been created on the additional amount, then last in that respect, in restructuring implementation, after doing all these things, what remains is the restructuring has been implemented in the system. All these 6 points should happen before 31st March 2017. Which 6 points? Supplementary loan agreement. I will repeat again. Supplementary loan agreement, supplementary mortgage deed or EOM. Then supplementary hypothecation deed in case of stock and book debts and machinery. Then fourth is ROC charge creation, CERSAI charge creation, and sixth most important is implementation of the restructuring in the system. What we have observed that till yesterday I am talking about, that restructuring has been done, all agreements have been executed, everything has been done. The branch has given a moratorium of 12 months as part of restructuring, principal and interest moratorium. And there are many cases like that in the branch in respect of MSME. So they have decided that we will do all cases at a time in the system. And till yesterday, they have not done that. So I have told them that, boss, you have waited for completion of all restructure cases. It's okay. But if you don't do it by 31st March in the system, I will mark that account as NPA. So they were saying, "Arey sir, 4 दिन का छुट्टी आया है. Yes, tomorrow banks are closed. Monday banks are closed. Sunday आ गया बीच में. वे अब इतना स्ट्रिक्ट मत हो जाओ ये सब के साथ." मैंने बोला nothing doing. आपको जब वो अकाउंट रजिस्टर हुआ तभी उसको इम्प्लीमेंट कर देना चाहिए था. These accounts have been restructured in the month of Jan. Why you are not implemented in the system? तो वो बोले हाँ वो हमने डिसाइड किया था कि सबका एक साथ ही कर लेंगे. अरे ऐसा एक साथ कर लेंगे अभी. Now you have come on the final steps, final dates and you are still saying कि ये तो अपना वो रिटर्न फाइलिंग जैसा हो गया उनका. रिटर्न फाइल करेंगे फाइनल ड्यू डेट पे आके रिटर्न फाइल कर रहे हैं. So I have told them, I have given them 4 days. You come on holiday, you come on Saturday, but implement it. Otherwise, I will not accept it as a restructure. ये आपको भी देखना है कि ये सब 5-6 चीजें जो मैंने बोली है, that has been done, then only that will be considered the implemented restructuring. Otherwise, it will not be a implemented restructuring. Next condition. The borrowing entity is GST registered on the date of implementation of restructuring. See, अभी इसमें थोड़ा सा ये है, when we check this, we see कि अभी अपने दिमाग में 1 मार्च का डेट इतना बैठ गया है, हम लोग देखते हैं कि ये बंदा GST registered है कि नहीं on the date of 1 March. But actually the condition is that the borrower should be entity is registered, GST registered on the date of implementation of restructuring. So in that bank, one of the reason was this only that एक borrower का GST IN अभी तक आया नहीं था, इसलिए उसने सबको होल्ड पे रखा था. मैंने बोला बोले बाकी का तो कर दो, ये GST IN आया बात कर दो, नहीं आया तो अकाउंट एनपी हो जाएगा, रिस्ट्रक्चरिंग नहीं होगा उसका, because it is not a GST registered entity. This circular originally came for GST registered entities. ये सर्कुलर जब इनिशियली आया था जनवरी 2019 में, that time it came for giving a concession for MSME borrowers who have faced hassle during initial period of GST. इसलिए this GST related concession, GST related comment is there. So restructuring of borrower account is implemented by 31st March 2021 that we have completed. Sorry, the GST registration should be on date of implementation of restructuring. However, this condition will not apply to MSMEs that are exempt from GST registration. That is very good or justifiable point, because everyone has suffered, not only those who are under GST. And the exemption limit, the threshold for GST for obtaining for exemption limit should be of 1st March. Yeah, circular is like a painful circular for interpretation and confusing. When you are checking for the GST registration of the entity, you are checking it till the implementation of restructuring. मतलब वो implementation अभी भी हो सकता है, दिसंबर में भी हुआ होगा, जनवरी में हुआ होगा, तब तक उसको पीरियड दिया है. पर जब when you are talking about the calculation of exemption limit, it is talking about the exemption limit, the threshold criteria as on 1st March. तो उसका अगर turnover below होगा on the 1st March, even if that turnover has increased during the period of implementation, though it has not crossed, and even if it has crossed till the period of implementation, that account is eligible for restructuring. Then asset classification of borrowers classified as standard may be written as such. So उसको benefit मिलेगा उसका अगर 1st March को really standard होगा, not in as per the bank, really standard होगा, तो उसको benefit मिलेगा उसका, and he will continue to be standard and cannot be slipped into NPA category between 2nd March and date of implementation. So अगर कोई account 2nd March 2020 से अगर उसका implementation हुआ अक्टूबर में या जनवरी में, तब तक उसको NPA क्लासिफाई किया था. एक्चुअली ये जब इशू किया था सर्कुलर 6 अगस्त में, तब तक 3rd सितंबर का जजमेंट नहीं आया था, because the judgment has come on 3rd September for stay on NPA classification. So this issue you will not come across such situation where the account was slipped on March 2020 to NPA category somewhere in the month of September, October. वो तो सिस्टम में स्टैंडर्ड ही है, बिकॉज वो तब NPA क्लासिफिकेशन अलाउ नहीं था. So RBI what wants to say कि even if वो NPA हो गया during the period of implementation, it will be upgraded once it is implemented as a standard asset. But the implementation should be completed by 31st March. So उसको और ड्रैग नहीं हो रहा है. अगर वो आपको 31st March के पहले वो even if it would have become NPA 31st March के पहले आपने उसको रिस्ट्रक्चरिंग कर दिया, implementation हो गया, then that account will be considered as standard. Next, the asset classification benefit will be available only if the restructuring is done as per provision of the circular. So that is a normal guideline. So then only this can be considered as standard. Now, the major impact of the circular is that it has not given leeway to banks as स्टैंडर्ड कर दिया तो उसके ऊपर कोई प्रोविजन नहीं होगा. पहले भी रिस्ट्रक्चरिंग प्रोविजन होता था पर वो थोड़ा था, एक 1% था. अभी इन दिस केस व्हाट आई हैव मेंशन्ड दैट बैंक शैल मेंटेन एडिशनल प्रोविजन ऑफ 5% ओवर एंड अबव द प्रोविजन ऑलरेडी हेल्ड बाय देम. मतलब क्या, एक अकाउंट है, मतलब क्या, एक अकाउंट है, वो 2 मार्च को, आई एम ignore Supreme Court. I'm just trying to interpret, explain. I'm just explaining you this sentence. Supreme Court judgment अब please keep it aside. 2 मार्च को एक अकाउंट है जो स्टैंडर्ड था 1 मार्च को, but it has downgraded in the month of September and become substandard. इसके ऊपर 15% प्रोविजन करना पड़ा बिकॉज वो सबस्टैंडर्ड हो गया. एंड देन इम्प्लीमेंटेशन हो गया उसका रिस्ट्रक्चरिंग का, और जनवरी में अकाउंट has been implemented and become standard. So when वो substandard हो गया तो 15% प्रोविजन किया था उसके ऊपर. Now what they are saying, what RBI is saying, bank shall maintain additional provision of 5% over and above the provision already held by them. मतलब 15% provision which is already held plus 5% provision which is in because of the restructuring of this circular. So वो 20% होगा. So the total provision on such accounts will be 20% in some cases. अगर वो अकाउंट रेगुलर चलता रहा तो उसका प्रोविजन 5% ही होगा. अगर वो अकाउंट बीच में एनपीए हो गया होगा तो जो प्रोविजन रिक्वायर्ड था एज पर एनपीए और 5% एडिशनल. अभी ये कहानी में थोड़ा सुप्रीम कोर्ट आ गया तो ट्विस्ट आ गया. सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने बोला कि यू कैन नॉट क्लासिफाई एनी अकाउंट एज एनपीए. फिर प्रॉब्लम ये है कि अगर कोई अकाउंट है जो एनपीए हो गया होता अगर सुप्रीम कोर्ट का जजमेंट नहीं होता तो, अगर वो एनपीए हो गया होता अगर सुप्रीम कोर्ट का जजमेंट नहीं होता तो, देन इन दैट सिनेरियो व्हाट एज एन ऑडिटर यू शुड डू. मतलब उसको अज्यूम करो कि वो बीच में एनपीए हो गया, उसके ऊपर वो 15% का प्रोविजन करो और ये 5% का प्रोविजन करो, वो 20% हो जाएगा. दैट्स व्हाट आई फील दैट शुड नॉट बी द केस बिकॉज सुप्रीम कोर्ट है तो ये वी कैन नॉट मेक एनी अकाउंट एज एनपीए बिकॉज सुप्रीम कोर्ट हैज सेड सो. द होल देयर वाज द स्टे. But there you have to see the closing circular, how it has been treated in the closing circular. So if we go by the Supreme Court judgment, then the total provision on the on this kind of asset will be 5.25% because 0.25% of standard asset provision and 5% of additional provision. But you have to go to the closing circular for such accounts which would have downgraded in absence of Supreme Court decision. And now additional provision of 5% should be made. Now, again, reference needs to be made in respect of this to closing circular. I had discussion with many chartered accountants and many statutory central auditors, and the view has been taken about this circular is that this should not be considered as the extension of the circular of February in respect of non-permission of repeated restructuring. But the final view has not come out from RBI, so you have to rely on the closing circular, because what has happened that this circular has mentioned in the last that all terms and conditions other than above in the February 2020 circular shall remain as it is. So one of the conditions in February 2020 circular was mentioning that any account restructuring in terms of January 2019 circular are not eligible to be restructured here. So in that scenario, what would have happened that since this is an extension of that circular and this condition remained unchanged, there is a possibility of interpretation that repeated restructuring will not be allowed, and any account then those accounts which have been restructured in January 2019 will not be eligible for restructuring under 6th August 2020 circular for MSME. Now, banks are taking a view that this is the situation in January 2019 and situation of COVID is totally different. And since the circular's preamble mention about the COVID, this repeated restructuring related guidelines will not be applied, condition will not be applied to this circular. And even if that account is restructured in January 1, 2019, it is eligible for restructuring now. You go by the closing circular of the bank because that is a conscious decision taken by the bank and in consultation with statutory central auditor. And as a abundant caution, what you can do, you can mention such accounts in LFAR and main report stating that these accounts have been restructured in January 2019 and also have been restructured based on 6th August circular. The list of account is as under or is attached here. What purpose it will serve that if RBI takes some other view about this in future, then your responsibility is over once you report it in the main report as a point or emphasis of matter and LFAR. Then it will be, and if there is some other view taken by statutory auditor during finalization of audit based on certain clarification from RBI, then in that respect also they will have this data readily available to disallow this restructuring. So please, in my opinion, this is a contentious matter and there are views which are coming, different views are coming in respect of this matter. So please refer to closing circular and also consult with your statutory central auditors. If any of person in the audience is a statutory central auditor, I will like to have their view on this. So I believe that there is no view. Maybe one of this finalize till date on this matter. So please refer to closing circular. I am also awaiting for closing circular. Now we will move to restructuring above 25 crores. So this restructuring over 25 crores has been bifurcated into two sections. One is personal loan, which includes consumer credit, education loan, housing loan, and loan against shares. Now I want to ask a question specifically for people from Ahmedabad, Rajkot, Bhavnagar, कि इस बार जिसने लोन अगेंस्ट शेयर्स लिया है उसको कुछ रिस्ट्रिक्शन की जरूरत पड़ी है क्या? आई बिलीव किसको नहीं पड़ी है, बिकॉज इस बार मार्केट तो एकदम ऊपर ही चला गया आफ्टर सर्टेन इनिशियल हिट्स. तो जिसको वो जरूरत नहीं पड़ी, बट जिसका कंज्यूमर क्रेडिट है, एजुकेशन लोन है, हाउसिंग लोन है, वो दे हैव सफर्ड बिकॉज ऑफ द कोविड, वेयर some people have lost their job or some people their salary was initially cut down or reduced. So in such situation, they have faced financial challenges because of COVID. So I think this is we face sometimes here earlier also because of recession. Of 2008, that there was only financial challenges, but COVID related recession or this COVID related challenges are not only financial, they are medical challenges, there are psychological challenges, and there are also economic challenges. So I think this is a unique year which we all have been through, and not a year which we should remember, we should keep in our memory and cherish. So on personal loan side, RBI has come out with this kind of a restructuring, And first time such kind of a restructuring, a detailed restructuring has been provided for home loan, education loan, and personal loan category. Rather, I think it is in the history of India first time. Even it has been provided in case of these loans, not a crop loan, because that is a separate section. In the case of these loans, there is a ex gratia has been provided even to the people who have paid on time. I think that is the first time that kind of a concession has been provided, or that kind of a money has been provided by the bank or provided by the government to people and incentivize them to pay on time. अभी उसके जो भी जिनको भी एक्सक्रेशिया मिला है उनको तो टैक्स तो लगेगा दिस ईयर उसके ऊपर जो भी मिला है उसके ऊपर, बट ऑफ कोर्स फर्स्ट टाइम गवर्नमेंट हैज गिवन इट एंड दैट इज अ वेलकमिंग स्टेप, सो दैट ऐसे नहीं हो जाए कि यार जो डिफॉल्ट कर रहे हैं उनको ही बेनिफिट मिल रहा है, जो डिफॉल्ट नहीं कर रहे हैं वो तो बेचारे पेमेंट कर रहे हैं ऑन रेगुलर बेसिस एंड दे आर एक्चुअली बिकमिंग अ वेरी गुड बोरोवर, एंड जो डिफॉल्ट नहीं कर रहे हैं वो तो एंजॉय कर रहे हैं विद नॉट पेइंग ऑन रेगुलर बेसिस. So the first condition in this, see, in case of a MSME, the only condition was standard. It should be standard on the 1st March 2020. In respect of this personal loan, standard, but not in default for more than 30 days with the lending institution as on 1st March. So on 1st March, if the default, because ye jo maximum loans hai, they are EMI based loan. So how you will assess the default? सो सिंपल है उसका डिफॉल्ट असेस करने के लिए आप एक काम करो, यू टेक अ आइडियल बैलेंस ऑफ दैट अकाउंट फ्रॉम द बैंक, इट इज अवेलेबल इन द सिस्टम. You plot down ideal balance and you also plot down the outstanding as on 1st March 2020. If the difference between the ideal balance and outstanding balance is not more than 1 month, that is 30 days, that means that account is not under default by 30 days, for more than 30 days. But if it is more than 1 month, maybe 1.5 months, 2 months kind of a thing, then that kind of accounts are not eligible for restructuring. In this kind of a loan, EMI outstanding, EMI balances or EMI base classification of NPA will come in, will be very important, because in case of for classification of NPA also we see whether 3 months EMIs are due by calculating outstanding and ideal balance. So similarly here also, to calculate that dues are not for more than 30 days, you calculate outstanding and ideal balance, and if it is not more than 30 days, so ideally it will be a 1 month installment, then that account is eligible for restructuring. Implementation within 90 days. So once it is approved, इसमें ज़्यादा challenges नहीं है, borrower जो भी request करेगा based on assessment of the bank, competent authority will approve it. Also you have to check which is the competent authority, whether branch manager, branch head is a competent authority, or it has been given to any RAC, retail asset center, or it has been given to any processing center. So if that has been given to a person sitting in processing center, whether that approval is there by the competent authority is there or not, that you have to check. Because now many banks have RPCs they called, or RACs they called. In case of SBI, they call it RAC, resale asset center, or in other banks house in there is a terminology used retail personal retail processing center. So, and many authorities have been given to the heads there or committee there. So if that is there, then you should have that approval from that respective authority should be on place. Again, meaning when you say implementation, all agreements, in this case there will not be ROC charge, in this case there will not be kind of hypothecation. There will be mainly in case of a housing loan, there will be a supplementary loan agreement, EOM, entry in the register for mortgage with the additional amount if there is a FITL, and third will be implementation in the system. So how there will be additional debt will be created is because of the FITL, because there will not be additional lending in this case. So what will be done is that housing loan EMIs are due, and in this case, the EMIs will be deferred by 10 months. So automatically what will happen that your period will be elongated by another 10 months. There will be elongation in the period. So because of that, their new repayment schedule will be a new repayment schedule. And once it is a new repayment schedule, then in that scenario, you have to see that the revised agreements or supplementary agreements have been entered. If there is no new repayment schedule, EMI has not been elongated, but they have said that whatever interest is there in the account, housing loan account, for 12 months starting from 1st March till let's say till 31st December, or till 31st March of the next year 21, as will be carved out, and you need not pay interest on that. We will create an FITL on that, and so there will be, so you have to pay principal, this much amount of principal now, and we will not charge interest. You pay interest over next 5 years, or interest over next 1 year, let's say. So in that case, there will be additional loan. If FITL is additional loan given, so new loan agreement will be there, and then there will be new entry of mortgage will be there, and then in system you have to also modify the EMIs only with the principals for that period, and whatever receipts have been given should be adjusted in principal, and interest needs to be carved out separately, and new FITL account needs to be created in the system. So when I say implementation, 360-degree perspective should be there, from agreement, execution of agreement, receipt of letter of request from the borrower till execution of the agreement. All things should be there. So in respect of what I have earlier discussed as moratorium of term loans, why I'm discussing both together is that both are more a personal loan or home loans, vehicle loans kind of a situation. So when you are talking about these two, if you remember, where there was a lockdown and many organizations, banks and financial institutions have allowed the borrowers to even send a request of extension, request for moratorium or extension of moratorium on SMS. So in that scenario, branch should have the copy of that SMS or screenshot of that SMS received from the borrower on paper. So they should have saved it in their system, because on what basis letter could not be received during those periods. The only way where they could communicate is either email or this kind of SMS. So when you say, when the condition for that, there should be a request from the borrower for moratorium. So how you can substantiate the request for the borrower, request by the borrower for moratorium, is either you have email when you are on the record of the bank, or there is a SMS on the record of the bank. So वो ब्रांच मैनेजर बोलेगा कि एसएमएस आया था, अभी मुझे मिल नहीं रहा है, ऐसा नहीं चलेगा। वो एसएमएस आया तो उसका प्रिंट आउट लेना था, और ऐसे भी तो ऐसा कुछ है नहीं ना कि अभी तो एक उंगली घुमा के स्क्रीनशॉट्स आ जाते हैं नए मोबाइल पे, या फिर स्क्रीनशॉट्स कैसे भी मिल सकता है मोबाइल का। तो अगर आपको एसएमएस आया था तो आपको उसका प्रिंट आउट लेके रखना चाहिए था फाइल में, दैट एसएमएस हैज बीन रिसीव्ड फ्रॉम दिस बोरोवर। और ये भी देखो कि जो नंबर है बोरोवर ने जिस नंबर से एसएमएस किया वो रजिस्टर्ड नंबर है कि नहीं बैंक का। So this precaution you should take as an auditor. अगर रिक्वेस्ट ही नहीं आया तो मोराटोरियम का क्वेश्चन ही नहीं है, और रिक्वेस्ट नहीं आया फिर मोराटोरियम दिया होगा, then that is a default. Then next will be implementation, should be there within 90 days. The framework should be finalized by before 31st December. So again, a new date, March 1, 31st December, and since it has mentioned 90 days, by 31st March it should be implemented. So when we go to the branch for the branch audit in the first week of April, or we start the branch audit offline, off-site in the first week of April, all personal loans, housing loans, education loans should have been, what I can say, should have been implemented in the system and implemented by taking agreements and everything by 31st March. Moratorium concession will be maximum for 2 years. What does it mean that whatever concession is given or EMI extension has been given, that cannot be extended for more than 2 months. So 24 months का EMI extension हो सकता है, not more than that. अगर आपको FITL देना है तो 2 साल का ही FITL उसको दे दो. You cannot give more than that. मतलब ऐसे नहीं है कि 15 साल का लोन है हाउसिंग लोन, उसको 20 साल कर दिया, 15 साल का 17 साल हो सकता है. Because there has to be some restriction. That's why this restriction has been put. And I think 2 years is adequate restriction if someone has suffered economic fall down or downturn because of the COVID-19. And we all believe that such kind of circulars will not be required in future, and we will conquer this COVID. Then classification should be standard provision, extend IRAC norms immediately before implementation, or 10% of renegotiated debt exposure. So here it's not like MSME and it is or. So as per IRAC norm, if whatever is required, so here it is not standard because standard provision नहीं आएगा इसमें 0.25 वाला, अगर वो आपको 10% minimum तो करना ही पड़ेगा. So in this case there will be a 10% provision is required as a bad and doubtful debt reserve, and in such scenario आपको देखना है in the system of the bank or NPA related NPA related return, whether that provisioning amount is mentioned. If it is not mentioned, normally these provisions are created at the head office, but the information is always taken at a branch. So if it is not mentioned, please mention it as part of MOC. But I'm 100% sure that what they will have, that they will have automated return for such accounts which have been restructured, which will also mention the provision of in these accounts. So this is for restructuring of personal loan. 6 points to be taken care. Standard but not default of more than 30 days on 1st March. Implementation has been done within 90 days. Resolution framework before December 31st. Moratorium or concession maximum for 2 years. 10% of renegotiated debt exposure. Provision has been made. We have also seen that in certain cases, restructuring has been done by reduction of interest rate. So पहले अगर 9% था, तो अभी उसको 8% कर दिया है. But that concession also should not extend for 2 years. So अगर आपका implementation अपने branch ने किया है in the Jan 31st 2021, then that interest concession cannot exceed Jan 31st 2023. So all kind of concessions, moratorium are for maximum 2 years. Any question on this MSME restructuring and personal loans? Because as we go ahead, proceed with this restructuring of about 25 crores, it will be a little more complicated. So we can take questions on queries on these two first, and then we can move to restructuring on personal loans. Restructuring on about 25 crores advances. If there is no receipt of request letter, then you cannot allow restructuring, because the primary requisite for any restructuring is a request letter. That means if there is no request letter, that means the borrower doesn't want restructuring. Then also why bank is providing that concession to him? So there cannot be a situation where request letter is not there and restructuring has been allowed. So I think I believe there are no other questions. I will move ahead to restructuring about 25 crores. So in respect of restructuring about 25 crores, there are two scenarios. One scenario is that the restructuring is happening in case of an account which is where the bank is a only single sole lender, and the other restriction is happening in case of account where bank is part of multiple banking arrangement or a consortium. So in case of bank is the sole lender, first and foremost requirement is will be the request letter from the borrower. Then there should be a resolution framework should be decided. So now there is a concept which has been come out in this circular is invocation of resolution framework. So what does it mean by invocation of resolution framework? Sorry. What is invocation of resolution framework? Now there are different views coming out on this also. That's why I want to discuss this in detail. So a request letter received from the borrower. In case of a sole lending I'm talking about, then we will take up the multiple lending. Request letter received by the borrower, and borrower has submitted a restructuring proposal, and bank is reviewing that restructuring proposal. So, but it is not approved. So whether invocation means that request from the borrower only, or it requires a approval from the respective competent authority of the bank, which would be a zonal credit committee in respect of small advances, and it may go to the board in case of large advances. So my personal view is that the request letter and in principle approval by the competent authority is required. In the final approval of the resolution plan may take some time, but that should be within that. But that resolution framework, whatever has been approved, should be implemented within 180 days from the approval. Now the risk, what is risk in this interpretation is that request has been received by the borrower. In principle approval is given on December 31st. And it took 3 months for the final approval. So by 29th March, there is a final approval. अभी उसको implementation करने के लिए और 6 महीना मिल गया, मतलब वो finally चला गया implementation करने के लिए time September तक. Okay, so whether a borrower who has requested in the month of somewhere in the month of September can get an extension up to the next September for restructuring implementation. I believe that is too far, stretching it too far in respect of interpretation. At least in case of a sole lender, at least approval of resolution framework should be there before 31st December, and 180 days from that till 31st till 30th June, implementation should be done. So, and the account would be upgraded after implementation, like what was there earlier also. But some views have been coming in respect of this is that just the request letter and in principle approval can be considered as invocation of resolution framework. Now we will take now we will move to the example requirement of regulation in respect of multiple lending institution. For multiple lending institution, we will carry with an example where there is 100 crore of debt lying in the books of 5 banks, and the borrower has come with a request letter. So borrower went to a lead bank and requested that I want a restructuring to be done of my account because I suffered a bad leave from COVID-19, and my business was down during the first 4 or 5 months. which has impacted very badly. So I want to restructure. Lead bank goes there. Lead bank goes back to the during consortium meeting or in in consortium meeting or in respect of bank goes back in consortium or multiple lender meeting, and branch says and in that they put that whatever restructuring proposal put by the borrower. So what is the condition in this? The resolution framework or restructuring proposal put by the borrower should be approved by the 75% of total outstanding FB plus NFB in terms of value and 60% of the institution in numbers. If you remember, same criteria was there in S4A. So 100 crores. So it should be approved by 100 crores and 5 banks contributing to 100 crore. It should be approved by minimum 4 banks, and it should be approved by minimum 4 banks, and it should be that 4 banks should constitute more than 75 crores of total exposure of the borrower. So 100 crore total exposure FB plus NFB should be approved by minimum 4 banks and 75 minimum 4 banks only to 75 crores of the outstanding. And whatever resolution framework is approved should be implemented within 180 days. And it should be invoked not later than December 31st. Again, that invocation related criteria we keep on discussing, because what is the meaning of invocation? Please, my request is that go through the closing circular, and if the closing circular does not give meaning of invocation and certain objective criteria for invocation, please raise this issue with zone and statutory central auditors. Yeah, it will be 3 banks, but for the purpose of easier understanding, I have taken 4 banks. So 4 banks, because this example we have to carry and there will be another twist in this, so I have taken 4 banks. So 4 banks constituting to 75 crores have approved the resolution framework. Now what happened? Resolution framework is should be implemented within 180 days. So it is, if it is invoked and invoked by December 31st, and we believe it should be approved also by the respective committee of the banks within by 31st December, then it will you have 180 days for implementation of the circular. The concessions and moratorium under the fund shall be subject to maximum 2 years, as what earlier in the personal loan also, here also the concessions moratorium can be subject to maximum 2 years. Now there are financial parameters are prescribed as per September 7 circular, that at the end we'll open that circular which gives the financial parameters. So सब कुछ हो गया, वो बंदे ने सबमिट कर दिया, 4 बैंक्स कॉन्स्टिट्यूटिंग 75 करोड़ अप्रूव भी कर दिया, फिर 180 डेज के विद इन वो इम्प्लीमेंटेशन भी हो गया, या फिर इम्प्लीमेंटेशन इनको ऑर्डर है, बिकॉज अभी we are in 31st March, and if something is approved on 31st December, we'll have time till 30th June. वो अकाउंट चल रहा है, concession as per the restructuring proposal is not more than 2 years. Everything is goody goody. But whether RBI stopped this goody goody, then the answer is no. Why? What RBI had said that all banks have to enter into an inter-creditors agreement, and that inter-creditor agreement should be executed within 30 days from finalization of resolution framework. So if it is final, if ICA, if people have that 4 banks have entered into the inter-creditor agreement within 30 days, then they have to create provision as per extant norm or 10%, whichever is higher. मतलब in case of 4 banks है, 75 करोड़ है, टोटल 100 करोड़ का टोटल एडवांसेस था. रिस्ट्रक्चरिंग प्रपोजल में क्या हुआ? रिस्ट्रक्चरिंग प्रपोजल में ये डिसाइड हुआ कि 10 करोड़ 10% जो है उसको हम लोग अलग करके उसका इक्विटी बनाएंगे, 90 करोड़ रहेगा और 90 करोड़ विल बी द डेट एक्सपोजर। इन केस ऑफ 4 बैंक में से 3 बैंक का अप्रूवल आ गया एंड दे हैव एंटर्ड इनटू आईसीए। चौथा जो बैंक था जिसने पहले अप्रूवल दिया था उसके कमिटी का अप्रूवल नहीं आया, इन प्रिंसिपल अप्रूवल दिया था, रिजोन पेपर अप्रूव किया था, बट आईसीए एग्जीक्यूट करने के टाइम उन्होंने अप्रूवल नहीं दिया। और एक पांचवा था वो डिसएग्री था। तो इस केस में क्या होगा, जो 3 लोग अप्रूव है उनका जो कंट्रीब्यूशन है टू द ओवरऑल एक्सपोजर, अगर उनका कंट्रीब्यूशन है 60 करोड़, तो 60 करोड़ में से 6 करोड़ तो उनका इक्विटी में आ जाएगा। सो व्हाट विल बी रिमेनिंग इज 54 करोड़ एंड दे हैव टू मेक प्रोविजन ऑन द 10% ऑन द 54 करोड़, बिकॉज उनका जो डेट एक्सपोजर रह गया वो 10% रह गया, विच इज ऑफ 54 करोड़ एंड नॉट 60, बिकॉज वो 6 का तो उनको इक्विटी आ गया है, वो आने वाला है। इन केस ऑफ इम्प्लीमेंटेशन इक्विटी आ भी जाना चाहिए, ये और एक क्राइटेरिया और एक कंडीशन हो जाएगा। इक्विटी के लिए अप्लाई किया है, ये किया, उन्हें इक्विटी उनके बुक्स में आ जाना चाहिए, और वो इक्विटी का जो वैल्यूएशन है वो मार्क टू मार्केट बेसिस पे होगा एज पर एक्सटेंट आईआरएफ नॉर्म, एक्सटेंट इन्वेस्टमेंट गाइडलाइंस। तो इसलिए वो मैंने 4 का अप्रूवल ये उसके लिए बोल रहा था, मुझे ये एग्जांपल लेना था। तो ये जो 3 का अप्रूवल आ गया, 3 लोग 60 करोड़ कंट्रीब्यूट कर रहे हैं, तो उनके यहाँ पे जो प्रोविजन होगा दैट विल बी आइदर आईआरएफ नॉर्म और 5.4 करोड़ टोटल, व्हिचएवर इज हायर। अभी जो एक है जो डिसएग्री है विद द रिजोल्यूशन फ्रेमवर्क, बट इनके साथ उनको इसको चलना पड़ रहा है, और एक है जिसके रिजोल्यूशन फ्रेमवर्क का अप्रूवल आ गया था पर आईसी अंडर करने में उसने लिया डिलेड। सो क्या हो जाएगा, रिजोल्यूशन फ्रेमवर्क अप्रूव हो गया था, आप इन प्रिंसिपल एग्रीमेंट पे पहुंच गए थे ऑन लेट से 30th November, but on 30th December all 3 have signed that agreement, entered, executed that agreement, पर एक बंदा जो डिसएग्री था वो तो वैसे भी करने वाला नहीं था, वो डिसएग्री है, और जो एक था उसने अग्री किया था बट उसने he has not entered into the agreement before 30th, वो आ गया भागते भागते 2 जनवरी को और उसने एंटर कर दिया, साइन कर दिया एग्रीमेंट, बट तब तक he missed the bus, what RBI says, then in that case he has to make a provision of 20% of the debt, मतलब इसका 15 करोड़ है और उसका इक्विटी मिलने वाला है 1.5 करोड़, बट जो प्रोविजन होगा वो 20% ऑफ 15 करोड़ मतलब 3 करोड़ पे होगा, और जो बचा है 25 करोड़ वाला वो वैसे ही रहेगा, उसको 20% ऑफ 25 करोड़ पे ही बनाना है। सो 100 करोड़ का एक्सपोजर, 4 लोग अग्री हो गए, having total to recap the example with total contribution of 75 crores, 4 में से 3 लोग हैं जिन्होंने आईसी एंटर किया विद इन 30 डेज, उसके लिए 10% प्रोविजन आएगा। जिन्होंने आईसीए नहीं किया विद इन 30 डेज, या फिर उन्होंने किया ही नहीं टोटली, उसके ऊपर 20% ऑफ टोटल आउटस्टैंडिंग, दैट इज कैरिंग डेट। सी इन्होंने आरबीआई given concession in terms of not only in terms of percentage but in terms of the basic denominator on which that percentage should be calculated. So in first case it is 54 crores का 10%, in second case it is 7 जो भी बैलेंस है आउटस्टैंडिंग है irrespective of जो कन्वर्ट होगा नहीं होगा, उसका जो भी कैरिंग डेट है as on the date of 30th immediately upon the expiry of 30 days, मतलब 1st November को जो डेट है उसका 20%. So it is like penalizing those who have not executed the ICA timely or who have not actually entered into the ICA, because ये क्या है, ये थोड़ा सा RBI has gone little bit soft because of COVID on these guidelines in respect of, नहीं तो पहले जो restructuring के guidelines थे they were very strict in terms of all in terms of creation of FITL timelines and everything. Here they have given, here they have made a provision only. So when we think of this कि RBI बोल रहा है कि अकाउंट को स्टैंडर्ड रखो बट प्रोविजन क्रिएट करो, and 10% is not a small amount for even a housing loan, or 5% is a small amount in case of a MSME loan. So where are we moving? where RBI wants to head. I believe that RBI wants the balance sheet should be stronger, and they are focusing more on the strong balance sheet than only just a percentage of NPA. See, matlab, with these circulars, RBI has not given major concessions to the banks except classification of account. तो क्या होगा, ग्रॉस एनपीए परसेंटेज, नेट एनपीए परसेंटेज कम हो जाएगा, और कुछ नहीं होने वाला इस केस में बैंक्स के लिए. प्रोविजन तो आने ही वाला है. 15% की जगह सब स्टैंडर्ड का होता था, वो 10% आएगा, पर दूसरे बैंक्स के केस में 20% आएगा, और पर्सनल लोन में 10% आएगा. But what RBI is trying to do is that they don't want the borrower should be classified as NPA, and they don't want that borrower's CIBIL should be affected. See, this is what I think RBI is more looking from the perspective of the borrower in respect of this than the banks. Earlier, their all circulars, if you go through, are not taking the borrower's benefit in consideration except the restructuring related circular. बिकॉज एनपीए में आप देखो ऐसा है कि अगर एक बोरोवर का कैश क्रेडिट और टर्म लोन अकाउंट रेगुलर चल रहा है पर उसका एक छोटा सा बिल 10% जो है टोटल कैश क्रेडिट के वो डिसऑनर हो जाता है, एंड इफ इट दैट बिल स्किप्ड बिल इज आउटस्टैंडिंग फॉर मोर देन 90 days, तो वो 10% डिसऑनर्ड बिल के लिए वो पूरा का पूरा 100% एक्सपोजर एनपीए हो जाता है, बिकॉज वी से दैट द एनपीए क्लासिफिकेशन इज qua borrower and not qua facility. So there RBI is always on the side of making that borrower NPA and making provision even if the small amount is outstanding in respect of one of the facilities and it has not been paid. But here RBI is looking from more perspective of the borrower, that borrower's CIBIL is not hit or has adverse implications on the borrower. Why it should be? It might be because this is not something which is only business related problem. This is something which is related to global pandemic, and that pandemic has affected everyone economically across the globe. So borrower is so RBI has given more concession, which is leaning towards the borrower. And we will also look into one more concession which is leaning towards the borrower. This is related to classification post-moratorium. So what has mentioned in this circular, this is a 27th March circular, I think. What is mentioned in this circular is that for the purpose of classification of term loan and CC accounts, the period of moratorium will be totally excused, as if there is no moratorium, as if there is no period exists. So what it talks about that, this is verbatim, I have copied purposefully, shall be excluded, the moratorium period shall be excluded by lending institution for the number of days past due for the purpose of asset classification under IRAC norm. So what would be the case in this scenario? समझो किसने अप्रैल टू अगस्त का पेमेंट नहीं किया है, हाउसिंग लोन है, बट उसने सितंबर, अक्टूबर, नवंबर, दिसंबर, जैन पे किया, फरवरी, मार्च अगेन वो डिफॉल्ट कर दिया, तो वो एनपीए होगा या नहीं होगा? बिकॉज उसका आइडियल बैलेंस और आउटस्टैंडिंग बैलेंस का जो डिफरेंस है, that will be 8 months. So whether it will be NPA or not, if it is restructured. So if you go by this circular, it says that DPD during the period of moratorium should not be considered. So वो जो 6 months है जो उसने पे नहीं किए should not be considered. अगर कोई बैंकर स्मार्ट होगा तो वो क्या करेगा, वो जो सितंबर, अक्टूबर, नवंबर, दिसंबर में जो पैसा आया, वो पैसा he will not adjust against the dues of April to September, August. March to August. You will adjust to respect to month only. और वो बोलेगा देखो उसका 8 months का नहीं 2 month का ही overdue है, because RBI said that this period should be ignored for the purpose of calculation of dates past due. So ऐसे केस में आपको see if you go by the strict interpretation of RBI वो account standard रहेगा, but आपको closing circular से जाना पड़ेगा. Also आपको जो एनपीए का सॉफ्टवेयर है उसमें क्या मेंशन हुआ है वो देखना, कैसे उसको पैरामीटराइज किया है वो देखना पड़ेगा, एंड आपको उसको एनपीए क्लासिफाई करना पड़ेगा. अभी दूसरा एक एग्जांपल है, सुप्रीम कोर्ट का जजमेंट नहीं आता, तो ये जजमेंट आने के बाद वो बहुत कॉम्प्लेक्स हो गया सिनेरियो. डीपीडी है ऑन 29 फरवरी मींस ऑफ 30 days, और when you go for classification on 1st November, what will happen? September का ड्यू है, अक्टूबर का ड्यू है, और फरवरी में 30 days का ड्यू है, तो it is crossing beyond 90 days, it should be classified as NPA. मतलब पूरा का पूरा 6 महीने जो था 1st March to 31st August is ignored in this period for the purpose of classification of NPA, and that is specifically mentioned in the circular, which says that shall be excluded from the by the lending institution from the number of days past due for the purpose of asset classification under IRAC mode. So moratorium period shall be excluded. 6 महीना का पूरा निकल गया, 6 इंस्टॉलमेंट पूरा उसका निकल गया. So जहाँ पे वो रेगुलर पे कर रहा है उसको EMI में कंसेशन नहीं चाहिए, उस केस में बैंक ही बोलेगा कि बॉस आप रिस्ट्रक्चरिंग मत करो, हमें 10% प्रोविजन करना पड़ेगा. यू गो अंडर दिस गाइडलाइंस, you will be remained as standard. So आप देखो एनपीए में क्लासिफिकेशन पैरामीटराइजेशन सिस्टम में कैसे किया है. When which bank we are also dealing with, we have asked from them the codes which are they are going to put in the NPA their system in respect of that. Means it's not exactly code, it is the parameterization how they are going to do, because this is very important of ignoring these dates. Then similarly in respect of working capital facilities sanctioned in the form of cash credit or overdraft, where the account is classified as standard, even if it is SMA 1, SMA 2 hoga, to as on 30 February 29, the deferment period, which is 1st March to 31st August, shall be excluded for determination of out of order status. मतलब ये तो क्या है, मतलब आपका ओवरड्रॉन भी है, मोर देन डीपी चल जाएगा 6 महीने के लिए. आपका इंटरेस्ट, देयर आर नो क्रेडिट्स इन द अकाउंट फॉर 6 महीने के लिए, इट विल बी अलाउड. आपका जो इंटरेस्ट है इन द अकाउंट हैज नॉट बीन सोल्ड ड्यूरिंग दोस 6 months, इट इज अलाउड. उसमें आपको उनको FITL करना पड़ेगा. देन आपने स्टॉक स्टेटमेंट सबमिट नहीं किया, वो भी टेक्निकली अलाउड हो जाएगा. आपने रिन्यूअल नहीं किया, वो भी अलाउ हो जाएगा. लोग कुछ भी नहीं करना है. दिस इज अ हॉलीडे पीरियड फॉर all actions from the borrower and the bank, and you consider it out of order within 90 days. Within 90 days only if there is it continuously out of, मतलब वो अगर आप 1st November को पकड़े हैं for the classification of NPA, तो क्या होगा, फरवरी में वो आउट ऑफ ऑर्डर है, फिर सितंबर में, फिर अक्टूबर में, बीच में का 6 month पूरा चला गया है, even if it is overdrawn, then only that account can become NPA, और फिर ही पूरा IRAC उसके ऊपर रन होगा. अभी why this is important when Supreme Court has come in picture? This will be important in the respect of those accounts who have become NPA because of during the period year, like from, let's say from October, November, December, Jan, Feb. If Supreme Court judgment would not have been there, तो क्या हो जाएगा ऐसे अकाउंट्स को. Now ये challenging stuff है, because some bank will argue that Supreme Court का judgment जो आया वेकेशन ऑफ स्टे का, वो तो 23rd मार्च को आया, तो आप बैकवर्ड जाके उसको क्यों एनपीए कर रहे हो? तब तक तो हमें एनपीए करने ही नहीं थे ना अकाउंट, आप उसको बैकवर्ड जाके क्यों एनपीए कर रहे हो? आप इसको अभी एनपीए करो, आपको करना है ना 24 मार्च का डेट देके एनपीए करो. उसमें चैलेंज ये आएगा कि वो बंदा बहुत स्मार्ट है, बोरोवर और बैंक दोनों. उसने क्या किया, पूरा 6 महीना जो सितंबर से मार्च तक का, उसमें एक पैसा भी नहीं भरा, बिकॉज ही वॉज एंटिसिपेटिंग सुप्रीम कोर्ट उसको एक्सटेंड करेगा। और जिस दिन सुप्रीम कोर्ट का जजमेंट आया उसी दिन या नेक्स्ट दिन आके उसने उसका जो ओवरड्यू है वो लेस देन 90 डेज लेके आया, इफ वी कैलकुलेट ऑन 31 मार्च। मतलब उसने बेनिफिट लिया 2 मंथ का। मतलब अगर वो नॉर्मल आईरैक कैलकुलेशन होता था तो वो एनपीए हो जाता था। But if you must be aware that our IRAC circular says that all arrears should have been required to upgrade an account. So whether it is a upgradation of the account or this is a regular NPA, इसमें important ये है कि I don't believe this will be a kind of a upgradation of account. अगर वो in absence of Supreme Court order वो अगर NPA हो जाता और सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने स्टेट दिया you cannot classify it as NPA, हेंस अगर वो पेमेंट करता है ना 23rd और 24th को, उसको बैंक विल ट्राई टू गिव देम बेनिफिट ऑफ नॉन क्लासिफिकेशन, एंड दैट इज गोइंग टू बी अ कंटेंशियस इशू. It has to be clarified either by RBI or it has to be come out, there has to be some concessions between statutory central auditors and the banks. And I have raised this issue in our group of guidance note also. I'm one of the contributors to guidance note, and there are diverse views coming from the people who are statutory central auditors. We are in cooling period, so I have taken view from other. We spoke with some of the CFOs of some PSU banks, and they said that, boss, we are expecting some clarification from RBI. You wait, don't give any opinion on this. So I expect there will be a clarification from RBI on this matter, because this matter is going to be very difficult to deal with for all auditors at branch level also and at statutory central level auditor also. So this is what is there in the COVID, very complicated. There are other what I can say, other provision reversal is also applicable in respect of circulars of restructuring about 25 crores and personal loan, home loans, but that are given only in case when the borrower performs satisfactory in 1 year, satisfactory performance for 1 year. In that case, there will be a reversal of provision, will be there of 5%, and after that 1 or 2 months, another 5%. That's what RBI said. But I have not covered it here specifically because that reversal will come after 1 year. If I would have taken all those reversal related provisions, it would have taken more time, and I wanted to discuss what is relevant to this year. So these are the circulars. Now I will move to the financial parameters by the RBI given for restructuring about 25 crores. So I'm sharing the circular itself. So these are the sector-specific threshold financial parameters which have been given, which will be considered by the lending institution at the time of considering the resolution framework. So when you are actually auditing, it should be mentioned that how bank has satisfied satisfied itself whether these resolution framework, whatever mentioned in this resolution framework, these financial parameters are complied with. And if you find that these parameters have not been considered, in the resolution framework, then that resolution framework will not be satisfy the test of compliance of RBI of restructuring. Hence, I request all of you to while carrying out audit, please go to this, please refer this circular of 7th September. So 4 circulars we need to refer: 27th March, then main circular, then MSME circular, and 6th August circular, along with this year is the first year. This year is the first year where we are actually going to submit to revised LFR. And one of the para in the revised LFR is related to restructuring, and it says that whether restructuring as per the RBI guidelines. So when we come across resolution framework under these guidelines, we have to be we have our working papers prepared in such a fashion that in case of any query from any authority in future for this resolution framework or restructuring of some guideline, restructuring of accounts where we have carried out our audit, then in that scenario we are able to answer that clarification without any requirement again sought from the bank or branch. अभी क्या होता है, कोई क्वेरी आते हैं तो हम लोग पहले तो अपना डॉक्यूमेंट देखते हैं और उसके साथ सिमिलरली हम लोग बैंक ब्रांच को कांटेक्ट करते हैं, अरे हमें ये क्वेरी आया है, आपने क्या किया है. But if your working paper is pakka, ekdam ready, then you need not have to even call to the bank. Also be very careful while carrying out auditing this year, because about 10 crores threshold, which is going in the LFR for advances, you have to give a comments on that, and also give comment in LFR related to fraud prone areas. So while giving, while finalizing restructuring related related accounts or structured account, see that all conditions are met. I am repeating it once again. Whether you check that in all respect this restructuring has been implemented before the deadlines, and see that the invocation dates have been made in respect of about 25 crores and the provisions have been made. From this side, it's a very patient hearing from all of you, and I have seen people are continuously, more than 200 participants are there, and they are still there for 2 hours, and almost and there have not been reduction. That means I felt that you find this presentation and this my session interesting, and in future I have wished to visit the branch within few days and have dinner at Sasuji. So I wish that I feel that my wish will come true, and COVID will recede, and we all could meet physically than just meeting virtually, because in virtual you can take more session, but going there physically and interacting with many people and have interactive session is has different kind of a flair when you are delivering a lecture. So thank you from patient hearing from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. We'll be trying to taking the session for question answer. Any members do have questions? Sir, can you hear me?
Yes.
There are a few questions if we can address.
Yeah.
There is one of the question, merely not receiving written request, can we allow restructuring or not?
No, that I think I already answered.
Okay.
That in case of absence of written request, you cannot allow restructuring.
I think there is no other query as of now. We'll wait for 2-3 minutes for the members to raise a query.
Sure.
Yes, sir. There is one query, that treatment of unpaid FITL as on 31st March 21.
Treatment of unpaid FITL in case of a cash credit account, it should be provided for.
Any other members, if have a query, can you please write it down? There is a question, considering the Supreme Court judgment, when would a terminal account become an NPA?
If it is overdue for 90 days, in the month of March.
Month of March, or this is 31st March?
In the month of March means after Supreme Court judgment, after 23rd.
After Supreme, okay.
But you have to see the closing circular, because a view can be taken that in between any account has become NPA, and only serve the critical dues as not cleared all dues can become should be continued to become NPA. But I feel that RBI will come with certain guidelines, but I feel that it will be after 23rd March only.
Okay, effectively from 23rd March only.
Yeah.
Okay. So what about MSME accounts below 25 crore for SME unit?
Means?
I'm not clear.
Is it related to classification of NPA? तो गोविंद जी आप जरा वो क्लैरिटी से डालेंगे चैट बॉक्स पे.
Yeah, exactly. There is one question, interest provision in case of moratorium cases.
इंटरेस्ट प्रोविजन मतलब अगर वो FITL है कैश क्रेडिट का तो वो करना है, वो बाय 31st March it should be paid.
गोविंद जी ने लिखा है other than personal loans. I mean, I'm unable to understand that, but it can help.
गोविंद जी आप पूरा क्वेरी एक ही चैट बॉक्स में डालेंगे तो वो डाल दीजिए प्लीज, सो इजी हो जाएगा आंसर करने के लिए.
I think he might be typing.
We'll wait.
Yes, exactly. I want to know for industrial union financing.
Sir, there is a circular for MSME restructuring of 6th August, where the 1st March will be the date for the, if that account is standard on 1st March, will be continued for after post restructuring also. And it has to be implemented before 31st March. That was that we have discussed in detail. So what query you have about that?
I think उनकी query solve हो गई sir.
हाँ.
I can. What report should be asked for restructured accounts?
See, report will be, there will be register. If the bank has maintained on the register should be there. If the bank has not maintained the register, then I will believe that there will be some kind of a MIS must have been shared by the branch to the HO in respect of restructured account, and that MIS should be we should refer to that MIS, because क्या होगा, एक तो फिनेकल में मॉडिफिकेशन होगा, फिनेकल या फ्लेक्स क्यूब में, मतलब जो भी आपका सॉफ्टवेयर होगा बैंक में, अगर उसमें रिस्ट्रक्चरिंग करने के लिए अगर फ्लैग होगा ना, तो उससे सिस्टम से डायरेक्ट रिपोर्ट आ जाएगा. बट many softwares means actually Finacle is not yet capable of having such kind of flag in the system itself. So because of that, you have to rely on the manual registers and records maintained by the bank.
In case of interest is not paid, whether the interest in case of moratorium be made provision?
Yes, provision should be made. The effect of recent Supreme Court judgment will be that the account should be made NPA, because stay has been vacated. And second effect will be, and I thought it would have been covered in the certificate related speak by speaker, but I want to clarify here. क्या हुआ है, पहले कैसे हुआ था कि जो 2 crores के बिलो जो अकाउंट्स थे ना, इन दोज अकाउंट्स कंपाउंडिंग इंटरेस्ट वाज वेव्ड. तो जो कंपाउंड इंटरेस्ट का पोर्शन था उसके लिए एक सर्टिफिकेट लिया था, either from concurrent auditor or independent chartered accountants by the bank for claiming ex gratia or reversing those compounding interest. अभी सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने बोला है कि आपको जो कंपाउंडिंग इंटरेस्ट अबाउट 2 crores ऑल्सो यू हैव टू रिवर्स, द बैंक्स हैव टू रिवर्स. अभी ये केसेस में क्या हो जाएगा, ये केसेस में नाउ बैंक विल नॉट अगेन गो टू कंकरेंट ऑडिटर और इंडिपेंडेंट चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट्स. वो एज अभी स्टैट्यूटरी ऑडिट आ ही रहा है, ब्रांच स्टैट्यूटरी ऑडिट्स, तो उनसे ही सर्टिफिकेट ले लेगी फॉर अकाउंट्स below about 22 crores for the interest reversal only. Abhi kya hua hai, that time the government has come out and said that there will be ex gratia payment those who have paid on time also. अगर आप सोचो कि रिलायंस का अकाउंट है बोरोइंग से किसके साथ, और रिलायंस ने टाइम पे पे किया है, अगर वो कंपाउंड इंटरेस्ट का कैलकुलेट करके रिलायंस को ही अगर कंट्री को पे करना, मतलब गवर्नमेंट को पे करना पड़ा, तो कितना अमाउंट हो जाएगा. लाइक दैट अबाउट 2 crores, वो तो बहुत ह्यूज बोरोर्स आ जाएंगे उसमें, मतलब उसके बाद तो कोई लिमिट नहीं है. 2 crores का तो लिमिट था, अब वो 2 crores तो कितने भी 1000 crore के तो 1500 crore के बोरोर आ जाएंगे. उसका अगर आप 6 महीने का कंपाउंडिंग इंटरेस्ट निकालोगे तो ह्यूज आ जाएगा, जो रेगुलर पेमेंट है. तो उसके केस में गवर्नमेंट, वेदर गवर्नमेंट इज गोइंग टू कम आउट विद एक्स ग्रेशिया पेमेंट, दैट वी डोंट नो. बट इफ गवर्नमेंट doesn't come out with एक्स ग्रेशिया पेमेंट, they will at least come out with a reversal of interest, which is mandatory by the Supreme Court judgment. So उसके लिए तो सर्टिफिकेट आएगा, रिटर्न आएगा, वो तो रिटर्न करना है, मतलब वो हमें सर्टिफाई करना पड़ेगा एज अ ब्रांच ऑडिटर. दैट आई फील सो. पवन अजमेरा जी, आई थिंक आपको आर यू टॉकिंग अबाउट इंटरेस्ट इन केस ऑफ अ सीसी अकाउंट और मोरेटोरियम पीरियड में जो टर्म लोन का इंटरेस्ट होगा उसके लिए? अगर वो सीसी अकाउंट का होगा तो 31 मार्च के पहले पे करना है, और अगर वो टर्म लोन का होगा वो तो वेव ही कर दिया है. उन्होंने बोला कि कुछ पेमेंट करने की जरूरत नहीं है, उसमें कुछ उसको कन्वर्ट करो वगैरह ऐसा कुछ आया नहीं है. उसके केस में एक प्रोविजन आया था 10% का, 5% इन ईच क्वार्टर, वो कंटिन्यू होगा. Yeah, I will share PPT after the completion of session. I will share PPT.
Sure, sir. in case of restructuring accounts, there is no flag updating system. Should we report in LFAR?
सी उसमें दो इश्यूज है. एक तो सिस्टम में फैसिलिटी नहीं है कि वो फ्लैग आपको ऑन करना है रिस्ट्रक्चरिंग का, मतलब फ्लैग आपको मार्क करना है. जो फिनेकल जो अभी 7 था, पहले बहुत सारे बैंक यूज कर रहे थे, अभी मेनी बैंक्स आर इन प्रोसेस ऑफ माइग्रेशन टू 10. तो फिनेकल 7 था ना, तो उसमें फैसिलिटी था ही नहीं. अगर सब कुछ बैंक से जो फिनेकल 7 यूज कर रहे हैं या फिर फ्लेक्स क्यूब यूज कर रहे हैं, तो उसमें नहीं है फैसिलिटी. तो आपको ये मेंशन करना पड़ेगा कि फिनेकल में फैसिलिटी नहीं है. एंड दैट विल नॉट बी अ बिगर ऑब्जर्वेशन. द बिगर ऑब्जर्वेशन विल बी अगर फिनेकल में फैसिलिटी है पर ब्रांच ने जो फिनेकल 10 या अबव है उसमें फैसिलिटी, ब्रांच ने वो फ्लैग को ऑन नहीं किया है. एंड आई फील दैट हैज टू बी रिपोर्टेड इन डिटेल विद द अकाउंट्स आल्सो, because that is something which is lack of internal control on the branch side. अभी तो PSU बैंक्स में भी इंटरनल कंट्रोल का सर्टिफिकेट आएगा आपको. तो PSU बैंक में भी अगर इंटरनल कंट्रोल का सर्टिफिकेट आएगा, then in that scenario it will be a challenge for such kind of a lapses. I think वो अकाउंट तो NPA नहीं होगा, और I don't think I have discussed with others, many statutory central auditors. It will not become NPA, but you have to reverse the FITL provision. FITL created, unpaid FITL.
Does the limit of 2 years apply for restructuring in case of loan?
नहीं, because MSME restructuring जो है, that is not under that COVID related circulars of 6th August. This is a total different circular. So 2 years का limit वहाँ पे mention नहीं है. MSME about 25 crores, 2 years limit is there.
So in case of less than 25 crore is not there. I think sir सबकी queries हो चुकी है और आपने बहुत ही सही से एड्रेस कर भी दिया सबको. तो किसी और को क्वेरी है किसी मेंबर्स को? I think nahi hai sir. I think of query.
Okay.
We will share the PPT. Right?
Yeah.
So thank you on behalf of the Ahmedabad branch and from all the participants right now. Thank you for sharing such a great knowledge, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.